I lit a match to feel a little warmth in the freezing night. Through the flickering flame, I wished for a full meal and a peaceful sleep. Tonight, I was sleeping on the streets again. I'm Josh. I've been homeless for 3 months now. My hands were so cold that they've gone completely numb. I lit another match to feel a bit of warmth. Suddenly, a gentle voice spoke up.
Do you need help?
I looked up and saw a woman in her 40s. Her eyes were warm as she smiled at me.
Hi, I'm Chloe. I'm a TikToker who helps the homeless. I'd like to help someone like you.
Chloe showed me her TikTok account, which had thousands of followers. Her live streams received a lot of donations.
Come with me. I'll help you find a job and get a better life, just like the others I've helped.
A spark of hope flickered in my chest. I agreed to follow her home, convinced this would be the turning point in my life. When I stepped into Chloe's house, something felt off. There was a strong scent of bleach in the air. I covered my nose and glanced around.
Don't worry, I just cleaned the house. Make yourself at home, but remember, you must never go to the end of the hallway.
I smiled and nodded, but the smell of bleach made me uneasy. Over the next few days, I joined Chloe's live streams and shared my story. Every time we went live, the donations kept pouring in. I could eat well and sleep soundly in a warm bed. My world seemed brighter, but a lingering unease gnawed at me. Every time I looked into Chloe's eyes, I sensed something was wrong, though I couldn't pinpoint what. One afternoon, while Chloe was out, I decided to watch TV to pass the time. A breaking news report shocked me. It was about the mysterious disappearances of several homeless people. My heart sank. One of them was Sam, someone I knew. I remembered seeing him with Chloe a few days ago, but there had been no live stream featuring him. What was going on? I took a deep breath to calm myself. I had been with Chloe for days now, and she had treated me well. My unease grew. Could Sam's disappearance be connected to Chloe? The overwhelming smell of bleach was suspicious. I decided to go to the end of the hallway. There, I found an old door. My heart raced as I opened it and stepped inside. The stench of bleach hit me again, sending chills down my spine. On a shelf, I saw dozens of blood-filled vials, all neatly sealed and organized. Then I saw the board, covered with photos of missing homeless people, just like in the news. I spotted Sam's picture. Only one thought raced through my mind. What has Chloe done to these people? My legs felt frozen. I saw my own photo on the board. Was I next? I had to escape immediately. When I opened my eyes, Chloe was staring at me with a cold gaze, nothing like the kindness she had shown before. I was stunned when I realized I had been tied on an operating table surrounded by medical tools and empty blood vials.
Didn't I tell you not to go to the end of the hallway?
What happened to Sam?
Sam? His blood will soon be sold on the black market. I'm going to be rich.
Her words hit me like a slap. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. You're a criminal, Chloe. She stepped closer and put on gloves.
You'll soon join your friend, Josh.
She injected something into my arm. My body grew heavy, and I could feel all my strength draining away. Chloe happily arranged the blood vials on a shelf.
A perfect plan,
she said with a grin. In that cold, sterile room, I realized I had fallen into a trap Chloe had set long ago. Sharp pains shot through me as my blood was drawn. I felt myself growing colder.
I never planned for that life. Waking up each morning to paint my skin the color of cartoon sunshine and pretending for hours to be someone who never really existed. But you didn't always get to choose. Not when bills keep piling up and you're past the age where anyone wants your resume. For 6 months, I worked as a Homer Simpson impersonator at Joy Hill Park. Each day, I covered every inch of my skin in cheap yellow paint that promised to last through anything: heat, sweat, time. The first few times I used it, I noticed a tingling sensation around my cheeks and neck, an itch that stayed until I got home. I figured it was just the weather or something I'd adjust to. It didn't seem serious. People seemed to like me. They waved, smiled, and took photos. Most of all, they loved when I did the Homer Hedge meme. I practiced to get the timing right, easing backward into the bushes the park had planted for that pose. The leaves scratched my arms and sometimes left powdery residue, but I didn't complain. Lately, my shift was flooded with visitors lining up to take photos. They came one after another, each of them looking so eager. I didn't quite understand why. It wasn't until my manager pulled me aside that I found out attendance had doubled. Everyone was excited about that Homer Hedge meme I'd done. So I kept standing there, smiling, slipping into that bush more times than I could count. The kids were thrilled. The adults waited patiently in long lines. Meanwhile, the itching on my neck grew worse by the day, like a swarm of tiny needles digging in under the skin. Still, I kept going. Gritty dust from the leaves stuck to my face and arms, sinking into the paint and turning my skin rough, almost scaly. That week, my boss gave me a small cash bonus. I held it in my hands and thought about how long it had been since I could afford a full bag of groceries. That night, when I got home, I started feeling that something was wrong with my body. My arms were covered in blotchy red patches, and when I scratched them, thin flakes of yellowed skin came off beneath my nails. Under the bathroom light, I told myself it was heat rash or maybe a bad reaction to detergent. I didn't want to stop working. I couldn't. Then one day, someone's video of me doing the Homer Hedge meme went viral. My boss started treating me differently. He called me his golden goose. There was a big event coming up, and if things went well, he said I might even become the face of the entire park. I told myself if I could just push through this one last time, maybe everything could finally change. I added another layer of paint, trying to hide the cracks along my jaw and behind my ears. It burned more than usual, but I told myself it would pass. Later that morning, I looked closely in the mirror and realized the yellow wouldn't come off. I had scrubbed until my skin burned, yet the color clung on, not as a stain, but as part of me. It wasn't paint anymore. It was my skin. Even beneath peeling scabs, the color stayed, a dull, sickly shade, like old plastic left in the sun. As I shaved, thin strips of skin slid away with the blade. The surface underneath wasn't smooth, but rough and cracked. Small raised bumps lined my cheek. I pressed one, and it burst with a thick, yellowish fluid that smelled sour and foul. I rinsed it away, but the smell lingered on my fingers, sharp and wrong, like something rotting inside me. I told myself it would be fine, just get through the event, then go see a doctor. On the day of the festival, the park was more crowded than ever. I stepped into place, waved, and the first group of kids came running. I smiled, raised my arms in Homer's pose, and leaned into the hedge. That's when something inside me pulled tight, like a string snapping in my chest. My arms trembled. My knees gave out. I remembered falling, the gasp of the crowd, the blur of faces. My cheek hit the pavement, and I felt something peel away. There was no sharp pain, just a wet warmth. I saw a piece of my face, yellow, frayed, lying on the ground beside me. A guard rushed over and reached out, but when his hand touched my arm, he recoiled. His glove was smeared with thick, amber-colored slime. I tried to speak, to explain, but my lips cracked, splitting open. More yellow seeped through. My skin started tearing in long, curling strips. Beneath it, the flesh was soft, swollen, oozing and raw, like meat gone bad. I heard screams. People backed away. I tried lifting my hand, but it barely moved. My joints were stiff, frozen in place. I didn't know what had happened in that bush. Maybe it was the paint, or the heat, or that powder that clung to the leaves. Maybe it was everything, working together day after day until my body couldn't resist anymore. Now I sat in a room with white walls and locked doors. They said I was sick. They wouldn't bring me a mirror, but sometimes I caught glimpses in the glass. I still saw yellow. And sometimes the screams came back to me, along with the stunned faces frozen in fear.
That morning, I was feeding the horses, as I always did. Then, from the village center, a noise broke through the quiet, shouting, sharp and urgent, laced with tension I could feel in my bones. I dropped the feed basket and ran. What I saw at the sacred stone took the breath from my lungs. A man, clearly not from any tribe I knew, knelt in the dirt with his wrists bound tightly and dried blood marking the side of his face, while my people surrounded him like wolves torn between fear and the instinct to strike. My father, the chief, had already made his judgment. The stranger was a harbinger of misfortune, and he would be sacrificed to calm the spirits. But when his eyes met mine, something in me shifted. There was no anger in them, no pride or hate, only fear, bare, and deeply human, the kind that speaks beyond words. In that silent moment, I saw a plea I couldn't ignore. So I turned to my father, approached him quietly and whispered, asking him to spare the man's life. My father considered me for a long moment, then turned back to the man.
Because my daughter is merciful, your life will be spared. Remember this gift.
I approached the man and untied his ropes, my hands trembling slightly as I did so. I didn't know then that this simple act of kindness would become the thread that unraveled everything I believed to be safe. His name was Edmund. In the days that followed, I visited him in secret. He was weakened by injury and hunger, so I brought him food, healing herbs, and simply sat with him when he needed nothing but quiet company. Slowly, as trust began to form, he told me about his world, a place beyond the sea, where cities glowed through the night and people lived not under the rule of spirits or chiefs, but free, each person carving their own path. He placed a small, time-worn compass into my hand, saying it had always pointed him toward hope. Then, with a tenderness that caught me off guard, he looked at me and called me his wild queen. It was a name that unsettled and intrigued me all at once. And when he asked me to leave with him, to cross the ocean and see that world for myself, I felt a sudden thrill rise within me. The old, buried longing for something more than duty and tradition. Even so, I turned him down. My heart wasn't ready to part with the only home I had ever known. That changed the day my father announced my marriage to Nakoma, an elder from an allied tribe. I had never met him. I was told he was strong, wise, and a valuable alliance for peace. But none of that mattered to the part of me that wanted to be seen. Not as a daughter or a bride, but as myself. I didn't want a life chosen for me, wrapped in expectation and silence. So I went to Edmund, and for the first time I said yes. We left in the dark, with only the compass and the sound of waves for company. As the shoreline faded, I told myself I wasn't running. I was choosing. I believed that somewhere out there, beyond the sea, freedom was waiting. At first, everything dazzled me. England was louder, faster, stranger than I'd ever imagined. There were buildings that reached into the clouds, voices that echoed in alleys, and colors I couldn't name. But the stares came quickly, and they stayed. People looked at me with the cold curiosity of collectors studying something exotic, as if I were a creature brought back from the edge of the world to be gawked at and explained away. Only Edmund treated me like I belonged, at least, in the beginning. But slowly, the lines began to blur. He insisted I stay indoors, told me the city was cruel, that the people wouldn't understand me. He said he was protecting me, and I wanted to believe him, even as the walls began to close in, even as my reflection grew unfamiliar. When I finally told him I wanted to return home, my voice was shaking, but firm. He simply smiled and said we would have one last dinner, something special, a farewell. I remember how warm the room felt, how sweet the wine was, how his eyes never left mine as he raised his glass and whispered,
To us.
After that, darkness took everything. I awoke to darkness, not the kind that comes with night, but the kind that sinks into your bones. I couldn't move, couldn't speak, couldn't even feel the rhythm of breath in my chest. But I was still present. I could see. Edmund was standing beside me, humming quietly as he brushed my hair, painted my lips, and stitched my eyelids shut with careful, practiced hands. He whispered as he worked, calling me beautiful, calling me his forever. He treated my body like something sacred, and still something no longer mine.
Pixie dust. Want to fly? Then fly.
I used to believe in magic. When I was little, I'd curl up in my blanket fort with a flashlight and a tattered old copy of Peter Pan. I memorized the lines, whispered them like prayers. Second star to the right, and straight on till morning. While other kids dreamed of being astronauts or superheroes, I only had one wish: to meet Peter, to go to Neverland, to never grow up. I tied ribbons to my arms and leapt from furniture, convinced I'd fly if I just believed hard enough. But I did, and it hurt. Adulthood came like rust, slow and ugly. I didn't notice it at first, just the creeping sense that everything I did was hollow, performative, one mask after another. I tried to do everything right: college, office job, smile for the company newsletter, meet deadlines, exceed expectations. But nothing ever felt like mine. I was a child in an adult's skin, mimicking motions I didn't understand. Then last Tuesday, I got fired. Restructuring, they called it. I walked out with a cardboard box and a question I couldn't shake. Is this all life is? I didn't go home. I wandered the city instead, faceless in the rush hour blur. concrete above, filth below. Lights that never blink. People that never look up. Eventually, I found myself climbing the fire escape of a derelict building, half out of curiosity, half because I didn't know where else to go. That's when I saw him. He stood on the rooftop barefoot and grinning, looking far too young for a place this old. His hair wild, eyes glinting with something between mischief and madness.
Hey,
He said, cocking his head.
you look lost.
I hesitated. Do I know you? His smile widened.
Maybe.
Something about him felt familiar, like a dream I hadn't finished having. He stepped closer.
Tell me something. Do you hate being a grown-up?
I opened my mouth, but no words came. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small glass vial filled with sparkling white powder.
Pixie dust. Want to fly?
I don't know why I took it. Maybe because I wanted to believe. Maybe because I had nothing else to lose. I sprinkled dust on myself and breathed in. It hit instantly. The city lights melted into watercolors. Gravity forgot its job. My heart was weightless, and I was young again, running barefoot in the rain, laughing without reason. And Peter was there holding my hand, saying,
Welcome back.
That night, he brought me to Neverland. Not the island from the book, but a broken warehouse lit with string lights and painted stars. A dozen other runaways huddled there, dancing, laughing, flying on the dust.
These are the Lost Boys. We don't care how old you are, just how young you feel.
Each of them had stories, whispered between hits. A girl who overdosed on Adderall in a locked library. A boy who jumped off a dorm roof and survived. A dancer whose parents never once came to a recital. Here, there were no clocks, no rules, no names, only dust and freedom. And for a while, I was happy. I forgot about bills, deadlines, disappointments. Peter said we didn't need the past, or the future, just now. Just fly. But reality has sharp teeth. One morning I woke to screaming. Cubby, one of the youngest lost boys, was lying twisted near the edge of the rooftop. Limbs bent wrong, face frozen mid-laugh. I wanted to scream, to cry, to run, but the dust, God, the dust, made everything seem like a dream, even death. More days passed, or maybe weeks. Time didn't matter anymore. I started forgetting things. My last name, my old apartment, my face in the mirror. Sometimes I heard voices below, the city calling me back. But Peter would lean close and whisper,
They never loved you. Not like I do.
and I believed him, until the sirens came. One night, flashing lights lit up Neverland. Uniforms kicked down the doors. Screams tore through the air.
Police, down on the ground! Hands where we can see them!
You're under arrest!
Peter didn't run. He stood in the middle of it all, arms wide, smiling like a martyr.
You're ruining the magic! They were happy here!
A cop slammed him to the ground. The last vial rolled from his hand, shattering on concrete. Tink grabbed me, tears mixing with glitter on her cheeks.
Run! He said if the grown-ups came, we run.
So I did. I sprinted across rooftops, one after another, heart hammering. Behind me, shouts, boots, metal clashing. In front, the last building edge. No ladder, no door, just air, and a 12-story drop. I turned. A spotlight hit my chest.
Stop right there!
No way out. I reached into my coat. My last vial. My last lie. Peter's voice echoed in my head.
You just have to believe.
I tipped the dust into my body. It shimmered. I didn't hesitate. The city blurred. The ground disappeared. I took a step forward, into nothing, and I flew.